Welcome to the Everyday GSD podcast. Today's special guest, Eddie Gill. For those of you who don't know who he is, you must be a fucking idiot because he is an amazing everyday GSDer and has been doing this his whole life. I'm super pumped to have you on the show. Obviously, we have a mutual friend who recommended having you on the show. So I know you're extremely busy, so I want to say thank you for coming on today. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited to hear your story.
No, it's a pleasure, man. I really appreciate you having me on. I don't take these moments for granted. When individuals have an unbelievable platform like this and give others the platform to come out and express themselves, tell their story, and share some ideas, wisdom, and those types of things, I don't take them for granted. So I appreciate you having me on.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And I know this is going to be a good show because I got to talk to Kyle, who was on the show before, and he shared some of the stories about you. So I'm excited. Former NBA player, 12 years in the league, won all kinds of awards. Obviously, you played in college, kicked ass in college, and then you're in a professional career now in the finance world, as well as you still work in the NBA as I say an announcer, it's not correct, it's a broadcaster.
Something like that.
It's
in that space, yeah. Do a little bit of TV, a little bit of radio with the Pacers, yep.
Right, and you won a kind of a pretty big award one time.
Yeah, exactly.
An Emmy.
Yeah. People who have been in this career for a very long time, many years, and go to school for it and those types of things. Come in and out of the career without getting one, and I was able to get one. And you think about things that you don't necessarily plan to happen in your life, or things you aspire to be and do. But ultimately, once you get into this particular field, want to be the best at it. And was fortunate enough to win an Emmy. So, I'm incredibly grateful for that opportunity. And like I said, I've chasing down championships my whole life in my former profession in terms of playing ball and everything. But, an Emmy is a championship of sorts. So I'll take it.
It's funny because I went right into the Emmy, right? Because that's super exciting to me. But we're going to have to really back it up because I want the people to hear, how you grew up. Did you grow up in a neighborhood where everyone's playing basketball and you lived in this beautiful house with a white picket fence, or was it a struggle? Because obviously you're extremely talented and you're extremely driven. That comes from somewhere, whether that comes from your mother, your father, just your insides, your discipline, all of that. So let's jump into it, man. Yeah, you're a little kid. Where you at?
Exactly. So born in New Jersey. I'll try to give you the snippet version, and you can dive in on whichever topic you want to dive into.
We're gonna dive deep.
Yeah, let's do it. So ultimately, born in New Jersey, two teenage parents. My mother was 19, my father was 18 at the time. In a lesser than environment, you can say, for lack of better words, but it definitely wasn't a white picket fence. I never saw those except for on TV.
Right.
And that was somewhat of a fantasy world, and really something I didn't even consider growing up. I didn't think that was actually really a thing. It was a different environment in which I grew up, but ultimately my father was involved in just about anything street involved you can think of, and that's what his environment was. That's where the Gills. That's how they grew up. That's what lifestyle that they kind of led.
Right.
And
when you say the streets, just to clarify, that means he wasn't selling T-shirts at a shop on the street. Means he was in the streets.
Yeah. He could have been selling T-shirts. he had plenty of hustles, and one of those was in the drug game. So he's doing that, and ultimately violent activity, all these different types of things. But trying to figure out a way once. Found out that little Eddie was coming along because I'm the third. And once he found that I was coming along, trying to figure out a way to support me, my mother, and those types of things. But it was all street involved. But ultimately, my mother didn't want me growing up in that environment. I had an aunt who lived out in Denver, Colorado. So at an early age, we jumped on a Greyhound bus. I was almost lost in Chicago. She loves to tell that story. I wandered off at the bus station in Chicago somewhere. She finally rounded me up. We got back on the bus and made our way to Denver, Colorado. Stayed with my aunt for a while until my mother got on her feet, working multiple jobs and that kind of thing, just to make sure that we were okay. And then shortly thereafter, my father decided he was going to come out to Denver and try to make it right.
Okay.
And do the right thing and
get back in your life.
Mm-hmm, okay. Exactly. Yeah. And not to say that he was never quote unquote out of my life, because I would go back to New Jersey in the summertime, spend those with my grandparents and see him and that kind of thing. And ultimately his intentions were well. He wanted to do the right thing. Lack of resources, education, access to real job opportunity that so many of us take for granted. Those things weren't at his disposal. This was what he saw as a means of survival and being able to create a life for himself and his family. But ultimately, that lifestyle took his life at an early age for me. And just before that, when he had come to Denver, I had a little brother at the time who I quickly became a father figure to.
And how old are you about this time?
I'm 11. My little brother is 1 or 2 years old, so we have about a 9-year difference.
Okay.
I'm 10 or 11. He's 1 or 2. There's a 9-year difference between the two of us, so I had to grow up real quick.
Yeah.
I'm all of a sudden a father figure for him. I'm mad, I'm pissed, I'm angry, I'm sad, and all those emotions still happen to this day at random times. But ultimately, my mother was a strong influence in my life, still is a strong influence in my life. My grandfather, who was passed about 4 years ago, or maybe 3 years ago now, strong influence in my life. So I had other positive role models in my life who kind of wanted to steer me in the right direction. And ultimately, one thing my father did do was put a basketball in my hands at a very early age, and I absolutely just fell in love with it.
Now, did he play basketball or no?
He did.
Okay.
He did. He played in. He was a really good basketball player and a baseball player in high school. And oddly enough, had a scholarship offer to a school down in Florida. He decided to turn that down because he wanted to stay home and support me and my mother.
Okay.
And that was just his mentality. Just
right.
And all the while, everyone is slapping him across his head. You need to go down there and go to school, and we'll work it out. But that didn't happen. So fast forward, we're in Denver. And yeah, my mother's just trying to work it out for me and my brother at the time. And that basketball was a place of safe haven for me. It was a place of therapy. It was a place of peace and calm for me. So I released all my emotions out on that court and put everything I had into it. And I know we'll talk about what happened in between, but fast forward to today, it's the gift that keeps on giving. Everything I put into it has offered me a lot of opportunity here to this day.
Yeah, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. I think your story is crazy because you were just, well, I say crazy. It's super cool, right? Because I think when you talk about your mother who made a decision for you to go out to Colorado, move the family out there, and that's interesting. You almost got lost in Chicago because then we wouldn't be having this story right now if you got lost, right? But
exactly.
But she made a decision that she thought would be best for her and her children for the future. Mm-hmm. And then, so you can be dealt any hand, and it's what you do with those deck of cards, right? So you had this aggression or this angerness, these emotions, and you could have went out and started selling drugs on the street, or just doing dumb shit, right? Or just being bad in school. Because clearly you're pretty smart. Because professionally, what's your other job now?
Yeah. So my real job. Right? I tell people my real job. I'm in the financial world and in wealth management, lead advisor at Wise Financial at Northwestern Mutual, and been in the industry for about 9 years now. So
lead advisor. Did you hear that? That means he's fucking smart.
It's marketing. No, I'm decently smart, but
decently smart.
Yeah, we've Mark Wise, our president and CEO of our team, assembled a really nice team. So
nice,
a really nice complement of team members, and we do a hell of a job at what we do.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna go back in time now. Okay, so we're in Colorado. You're now raising your little brother with your mom. You're the father figure. So you got to grow up pretty fucking fast, right? Mm-hmm. So you're playing basketball. You're trying to do good in school. And I don't know if you're listening to this podcast or you're watching it, but I'm not that tall. I'm about 5'9", 5'10", and look at him looking at me. You're not that tall. No, I'm about 5'10", right?
Right.
And when you
that's what you're listed at.
Yeah, right. That was on my hockey card, right?
That's right.
But when you start looking at basketball players in general, you automatically see them towering above you in college, let alone when you get into the NBA. But how tall are you? About 6 foot?
Yeah, 6 foot 6'1" on a good day.
Yeah, so you're fighting a lot of odds here.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to say that I played. I mean, you mentioned 12 years in the NBA, so I played 7 years in the NBA, played overseas as well. 12 years total professionally.
12 years,
but ultimately,
yeah.
And to your point, odds would say that I'm not supposed to do that. There's a very small percentage of individuals to get to that level, regardless, and that number is probably even smaller for guys 6'1" and under.
Right.
I can think of only two, but I'm sure there's more. But that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like even when someone who's not like I don't know a lot about basketball. I was obviously the resident bartender, Jonica. She worked in that industry. But it's interesting when I think like Spud Webb is one name I can think of.
Yeah, that's back in the day. He's a little guy for sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then I don't know, but I don't.
Isn't Dominic Wilkins kind of short?
Dominic Wilkins.
You can't say short because he's fucking
Not
6
short, but
he's still 6 feet tall.
For the NBA,
You're thinking of someone else. Dominic Wilkins is like 6'9".
Oh, okay. Then I don't know who I'm thinking.
Yeah,
6'8", something like that.
Yeah, I was at an event several years ago with Derek McKee.
Yeah,
and I was standing next to him, and we were there, my wife and I, and someone came up and was taking pictures of him, and I was standing with them. 4 of us were on a double date. And it was funny because the lady goes, "And who are you?" And he might have said like I was his bodyguard or something. It was something funny. Yeah. But I remember when she took the picture and she had it on her phone and she showed us, and I was like, he's like this much taller than me.
You're up to his waist.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
This show's not about him or my wife. But okay, so you're playing basketball in high school?
Yes. Yep. So playing basketball in high school.
And getting good grades.
Getting marginally good grades in high school.
Okay.
Actually, my grades in my freshman year in high school, obviously there's a certain requirement that you have to have, GPA you have to have to be on that to play basketball. Once you get to middle school, you have to have X amount of GPA, whatever it may be, all the way up. My freshman year, I'm eligible to play, but my grades aren't good enough for my mother. She's like, "You're clowning," like getting calls from the school that, you're clowning in classroom. You're in the classroom. You're having a great time, cracking jokes, this, that, and the other. Like I was always present. It wasn't like I was, just skipping out, missing the whole day. But I'm showing up, and every once in a while, I like a good laugh.
Yeah.
so
me too.
So I'm getting that kind of report back home, and that wasn't a good thing. Ultimately, my mother doesn't let me play my freshman year in high school. She's like, "You're not taking this serious enough, so you're not playing anything."
Oh shit!
Yeah, we just cutting all this out. Yeah, you just figure out if you want to play basketball, go take that basketball outside, and you can bounce in the driveway or a driveway. I never had a driveway actually.
Yeah,
you bounce out on the sidewalk. I grew up in apartments and townhomes. She actually bought her first house the summer I went to college, and I'm like, thanks. Now my brother, he gets a driveway now.
Yeah.
So no, but like I said,
But I mean, even think about that. I have to interrupt this because even think about that. You grew up, you didn't even have a driveway.
Never.
Right.
Never. I never had. We just didn't have a driveway. When you're in apartments and townhomes, like literally I believe it was my junior year in high school is when we finally moved into a townhouse, maybe sophomore year. But we were there for those next 3 years. But prior to that, it was apartment living my entire life. That's all I knew.
Street parking,
which it made me who I am. I wouldn't take it back for anything in the world. Like I'm okay with adversity. I'm okay with grind. I'm okay with sign me up.
Yeah.
So that's what it groomed me to do and to be. I forgot where I was going with that. But
being the best fucking at everything you do.
Yeah. But ultimately, I was we were talking about, being good in school and that and having good grades and that kind of thing. But
so she sits you down your freshman year, you're not playing.
Yeah, sit down. You're not sit your ass down. You think that's a place of fun and just you go in the classroom and have a good time. That's not it. Meanwhile, I'm still eligible, right? I've done just enough.
You're eligible by the school, but not by mom standards.
Yeah, no question. Yeah, so I didn't play at all. My sophomore year, I go out, do a better job in the classroom. She lets me go out for the team. I go on to play 3 years of varsity basketball, and then I go on to college, and then again just
scholarship.
Yep. Yeah. Fortunately, that was the only way I was going.
Right.
I was there wasn't another way to get there.
Right.
Unless I wanted to take out student loans and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So each time I got to the next level, it just got a little bit harder. It just got a little bit harder, and then. And
where'd you go to school for college?
Yeah. So my freshman, this is kind of another longer, deeper story.
Let's do it, man.
Yeah. I went to junior college at first. I'm not sure if you understand the dynamic of junior college basketball and that kind of thing. So I went there first. My freshman year, I went to a college of Eastern Utah. My coach, he gets a job at Weber State University. After our freshman year, we won conference championship. We were really good. He gets another job. They bring in another guy. They didn't hire the assistant who actually recruited me to get there. I transferred my sophomore year to Salt Lake Community College, which is another JUCO.
Okay.
I ended up being a junior college All-American, but But prior to that season, I signed early with Weber State University. You tracking me?
I am.
Okay.
I am.
don't sit your wine yet.
Yeah, I'm waiting the wine.
Keep tracking. So I signed early after my freshman year. I go to Salt Lake Community College. I'm a junior college All-American. Like all these bigger schools start kind of trying to recruit me to get out of the letter that I signed to go to Weber State University. But I didn't do that. I ended up going to Weber State and finishing my last 2 years of college at Weber State.
And did you do that because you kind of gave them your word you were doing that, or why did you stick with that school?
Well, I just really enjoyed my experience with my coach that I had my freshman year. I knew that he was going to try to do right by me and the guys that came in. I also knew that he was going to recruit he and the other coach that was there at the time was going to recruit a really good team, and we'd have a chance to be really good. And I'd have an opportunity to go and earn a spot and play and be productive. So, the bigger teams that came in, it just was like, hey, you guys are too late to the party. I'm going to go to these other schools and hopefully run across you and you'll pay the price for not recruiting us earlier.
Yeah.
So
right. And they did.
Yeah. They did. Yeah. So that's kind of how I got there. Yep.
Okay. So now you're graduating college. Again, like I said, you're an intelligent guy. And there is a
which, by the way, I was much better collegiate student than I was a high school student.
Yeah, because you learned your lesson your freshman year from your mom.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So you're now graduating college. Is there anything in your mind that says you're going to go into the work world? When I say work world, I mean the traditional behind the desk work world, or is your mind you're going into the work world of being a professional athlete? Where's your head at, and where's your motivation coming from? Because your discipline you already have.
Absolutely. So as a kid who absolutely fell in love with the game of basketball, always have a dream of like, hey, I'm going to get to the NBA one day, but not understanding that that's really not a reality for everybody. Like that's just not a thing, right? Yeah. I'm all about chasing dreams and passions, like absolutely 100%. But sometimes reality happens and that doesn't work out for you. So now we got to pivot and do something else. So that was a dream of mine growing up. But by the time I got to my sophomore year of college and I was made the junior college All-American team, I'm like, oh, this is really happening.
Yeah.
Like this is not a dream anymore. It's happening.
I got to keep pushing hard.
Yeah. This is like, I see it now because now I'm going up against, higher level competition that are actually in the limelight and they're getting all this buzz and hype. And when I see them, like, you don't look very much different than what I'm doing in terms of production and competing and like I'm beyond holding my own in these different environments. So that was the time when I thought it was a reality. My junior year, I really think it's a reality. We go to the NCAA tournament. We upset North Carolina in the first round. They had one of the best point guards in the country on their team, a couple pro guys on that team, and then by the time I get to my senior year, I'm like, now it's just a matter of time. So the confidence just continued to grow at that point. And, so then I went on and kind of how that story manifested, I don't know how much you follow mock drafts and the NFL, NBA and those types of things. There's all these projections and that kind of thing.
You're projected to get drafted.
I'm projected to get drafted in the middle of the first round to the middle of the second round. I fall all the way out the draft.
What do you mean? So you didn't get drafted?
I did not get drafted.
Okay.
Yeah. But actually I should probably back up. Because prior to that, there's what's called pre-draft camps. At the time, they had 3 of them. One was in Portsmouth, Virginia, which they still have. One was in Phoenix, Arizona, where they don't have that one anymore. And the big one is in Chicago.
Okay.
I got invited to Portsmouth, which is like.
Is one better than the other or no?
Exactly, yeah. So the Portsmouth one is like the middle of the road tweener guys. You may or may not have a chance. So you get to come to this one.
Right.
Phoenix is a big one. Chicago is the biggest of them all. I'm not invited to Phoenix or Chicago at this time.
And this is invite only, right?
Invite only.
Okay.
I get invited to Portsmouth.
So your dreams can be fucking crushed immediately.
Yeah, right out the gate. But to start out with, I'm not invited to Phoenix or Chicago. I'm only invited to Portsmouth. So my agent's like, hey, go to Portsmouth, kick everybody's ass.
So you have an agent at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you may have a chance to go to these other ones. So I do that. I go there, I make the all-tournament team, I play really well, I get invited to Phoenix. He's like, all right, you made it to Phoenix, do it again. I got to Phoenix, same thing happens. Now I get invited to Chicago, the big one.
Okay.
And now I'm with all the big boys.
All the big boys.
Everybody's there. And I end up playing really well there. So anyway, after all that happened, projected middle of the first, middle of the second, I don't get drafted.
Just like that.
Just like that.
So now what happens?
Just like that.
Career's over? No.
Just like that. That night I cry like a baby when I don't get drafted, and I dust myself off. I'm like, well, it's time to go prove some people wrong.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, it's time to go prove some people wrong. So,
and how do you do that? Because you
don't get drafted, right?
Yeah, I mean, you didn't get drafted, right?
Yeah, so they just have other opportunities, whether you can get to summer league or you get invited to camp. There's a variety of different avenues you can get there. I ended up taking all those avenues to find my way into the NBA and end up getting, there's a lot of in between there, but ultimately getting 7 years in the NBA and played overseas as well.
But you don't get drafted, so then you continue your GSD mentality, right? Mm-hmm. And then you continue to still go after your dream.
Right.
So how do you go from not getting drafted? So where's because you said tweener, you're in between over here. So you really good at all these places.
Right.
Right. You're in Chicago, you finally make it, but then you don't get drafted. So how do you get in the NBA or how do you get in the professional league overseas? Because at the end of the day, when you talk about the NBA, it's the best, right?
Yeah. It's the best of the best.
Yeah. It's the best of the best.
Yeah. So I ended up, that summer, they always have an NBA summer league, and that's for draftees and then also free agents, right? So I'm classified as a free agent.
Yeah,
so
and you never quit.
Yeah, that just wasn't an option.
Not an option.
That's just I'm just like, oh, they screwed that up.
Yeah,
they screwed this up. So we'll work it out.
Right.
There's some yeses out there. I'm gonna chase these yeses down, and I don't care about these no's. Right?
You've had this basketball in your hand since you were a little kid with no driveway.
No question.
You're like, I'm not fucking quitting.
Yes, that's just not an option. I don't even know what that means.
Right.
So I ended up going to this summer league with the Phoenix Suns, play well in the summer, and I ended up signing a partial guarantee, which is more deep into the weeds than you care to know. But they gave me some money to go to what's called their training camp, preseason training camp, and if I make opening day roster, then I'm on the team for the rest of that season. So I'm there for like a month and a half. They take me all the way up until the day before the season starts. And
we're not talking about like football or 60-something players. I mean, there's not a lot of players on a basketball team.
No. Yeah, it's 15.
1-5.
Yeah, 15.
For you non-basketball listeners, 1-5.
15. And some teams will carry like 13 or 14. They want like flexibility, so they keep a roster spot open just in case they sign a free agent or there's trades made or whatever. They need some flexibility. So they may not even carry the full 15 that's allowed. They may carry 13 or 14, something like that. So
you get this deal where you are partially
guaranteed. I think they gave me like $50,000 or something to come in, and if I make the opening day roster of regular season, then I'm guaranteed for the rest of the year.
Okay.
So they keep me for 5-6 weeks, whatever it was, all the way up and literally until the day before the season starts, and then I get cut. But meanwhile, I'm there with like probably 3 or 4 other non-guarantee guys, and a couple of them get cut 2 weeks in, another guy gets cut a week later, another guy, and I'm like lone survivor to some degree.
Not quitting.
And then literally the day before I get cut.
Oh, shit.
So now we back to square one again.
And where does square one bring you back to?
At that point now, we're looking at other opportunities, but the problem is opening day rosters have already been set. So there's not even roster spots open.
And is your agent at this point helping you?
Yeah, he's hustling the whole time.
Okay.
Yeah, this is where.
So you have to trust your agent.
No question.
And you have to make sure this guy's not a fucking slacker or her.
No question.
You need to make sure this person's getting shit done on your behalf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And quite honestly, he had a number of guys in the NBA already. Some guys at my same position who have had long careers at that point. So yeah, it's a huge trust factor that I gotta believe that he's gonna go out there and pound the pavement for me. And
right.
And to his credit, I always felt like he was doing that.
Right.
There were times where I'd show up at a team for whether it was a tryout or a team that just signed me, whatever it may be, and they'd say, "Hey, you have no idea how many times your agent has called me talking about you." And I'm like, "Well,
perfect,
great, he's doing his job."
Because does he only gets paid when you get paid? Is that how that works, or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but some agents, they just go the volume route, right? So they just do volume. I'm going to get as many guys as I can. And, if I got 50 guys and I get 30 of them jobs, then I'm doing okay. Those other 20, they got a problem.
Yeah.
And that's just the nature of the business.
It's the industry.
Yeah. They just do volume. They just do numbers. And if they have enough volume in terms of client base, even they're going to get enough guys jobs to where they can be compensated appropriately and they're taken care of. But the guys that are left on the outside, then they're just out of luck. But my agent, from what I can tell, and
hustled.
Yeah, he did not have that approach. So.
Right, and possibly because he saw you hustling.
Yeah, and I think he had he took a real liking to that. You know, he took a real liking to that. And the crazy thing is, when he first came to scout our team, he was looking at one of my teammates. He wasn't even there to see me.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, yeah. So he wasn't there to see me at all. He was there, like he heard of me and knew who I was, right? Knew that I had that type, some potential, whatever. But we had another guy on my team who was a really good player and had some real promise. But
now, did that person end up going in the?
Oddly enough, he did not end up going. He ended up playing internationally a little bit, but not in the NBA basketball. So it's wild how it all turns out.
Yeah. But it all goes back to how hard you want to do it, how hard you're going to work for it, knowing that there's going to be roadblocks and obstacles that are in front of you, and you either get a roadblock and say, "Well, fuck it, day's over," or you power through it.
Yeah,
right?
I always say anything you want if you want something bad enough, it's going to hurt sometimes.
Yeah,
right, and just fall in love with that pain.
Yeah, fall in love with that pain.
Yeah, fall in love with that pain.
Yeah, David Goggins says that, right? If it hurts, you're doing it, right?
That's right.
You gotta just power through it.
Yeah, if it's easy, anyone can wake up and do it. If it was
easy, anyone could do it.
Yeah, anyone.
There's a reason why there's 13 to 15 people on a basketball team.
Right.
Because I can tell you there's a lot of people that play basketball.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know the number. Google over here probably does. There's a lot of people that play basketball.
7,342.
Yeah. But seriously, like, I wonder what the percent of, we'll say, athletes in the sport that actually ended up making it to the big time. It's got to be so small.
Yeah, I believe that something in the top 1% of like Division I basketball players get that opportunity.
The top 1% of Division I,
right,
get an opportunity to potentially play.
Yeah, so take away, like, they don't even talk about the Division II, Division III, NAIA, all these other leagues that are actually playing. So the percentage is some outrageous number for sure to get that opportunity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So now you've done one half a season. Where are you at? You don't get re-signed.
Are you saying that my rookie year?
Yeah.
So I ended up going into they have a number of different minor leagues at this time.
Okay.
And ultimately I went and go and play in one of those minor leagues. And then at that time, now you're just relying on getting the exposure in that league. Again, your agent pounding the pavement for you in the background.
Right.
Saying, look at my guy, what he's doing on this level. He deserves an opportunity here.
Right.
Also, leaning on what I did in the summer, and then also what I did in the preseason with Orlando, and what he's doing, and what I was doing currently at that time. And then now it's almost that you're at the mercy of, guys getting injured or someone not playing well or other guys on some contract in which it wasn't guaranteed for whatever reason,
right?
And just waiting for that opportunity, waiting for a call. And it's like, and when they finally call, it's like they want you there yesterday,
right?
Yeah, that kind of
thing. You should have a bag packed,
right? Yeah, and then when you show up, and like I ended up getting called up by the New Jersey Nets that year. They're now in Brooklyn, which is oddly enough my first actual real NBA contract was where I was actually born, which was unbelievable experience.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was unbelievable experience. Having a number of family members at my first regular season NBA game was pretty cool. It was pretty special.
How many people came out of the woodworks that, it's my cousin, he was awesome friend of mine in school, and you're like, man, none of you motherfuckers were ever around for me.
No doubt. Yeah, that was definitely,
that happens. Huh?
Yeah, there's no question that happens.
Yeah,
that happens for sure. And
that's got to be tough to navigate through.
Yeah. Well, in some cases, I think if you got a strong core group of people around you, it's like you pretty just move on.
Yeah.
But if you're susceptible and not having really had that support, and you're to some degree looking, like, hey, where can I get some support? Who can I latch on to for just some, to feel good about having some sense of normalcy, right? Some sense of acquaintance versus just perfect strangers.
Yeah.
Right. So even if it's someone distant and you have some sort of memory of them at all being in your life, and if I didn't have that support system, then maybe, I'm just down for whatever the hell they say. Like, let's do it.
Right.
But I did have a strong kind of core group in terms of, like I said, my mother, my grandfather, had some older cousins, male cousins,
right,
who were in my life, and they were positive role models for me, who kind of showed me right from wrong and that kind of thing. And when I had these randoms pop up, it was like, yeah, Heisman.
So yeah,
yeah.
So now you're in your first, as you say, your first official real contract,
right,
in your hometown.
Yeah.
And going out on that stage must have been.
Yeah,
the first day must have been amazing.
Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool. It was just to be able to play in that arena and out there, and I had, I don't know, like 30 family members come to the game. It was my first time there, and it was somewhat of a surreal feeling for sure. Just having that opportunity, and you know, and it was kind of I wouldn't say bittersweet, but understanding, like, it was a sweet moment, but I also still like, hey, I'm not done.
No,
I haven't made it. I haven't done anything yet. This is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
And just continually like, all right, that's great, but let's just keep on pounding, right? Just got to keep on pounding and
about how old are you about this time, approximately?
I think I'm 21 then.
21.
Yeah, I'm 21. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm 21.
Yeah.
Yep. I got an August birthday, so that was that.
I've done nothing with my life.
Justin says, I've done nothing with my life.
Yeah. What I didn't mention, what I didn't mention is, I should back up all the way to right before I graduated in May, my senior year.
In college.
So let's back up prior to that, a year before this happens.
Okay.
My son is actually born in April. I graduate in May. I get married in June. And then I deal with all that stuff I just talked to you about in terms of pre-draft camps and all this other nonsense.
This is when you're 20 years old, and you're now just get married, just have a newborn, and just lose your job.
Exactly.
Or not get the job.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that I'm like, hey, there's other people dependent on me besides me, and I got a goal to make sure that they eat good for a long time.
Right.
They won't. Especially, you know, my kids, my son, he won't experience what I experienced as a kid, and
right.
And to this day, I'm always questioning, like, well, did I make it too easy for?
Right.
Did I make it too easy for him? Because I want him to be able to go out there, be a responsible. He's an adult now. He'll be 23 in April.
I mean, that's some GSD shit right there. No matter how you slice the pie.
No question.
You know, you say, did I make it too easy for him?
Yeah.
No, you took your life experience and said, you know what? My mom was there for me, or my grandparents, the people who surrounded you to give you the push you needed and keep you on the right track. And you took that into the next generation, which is your child.
No question.
And you have a couple kids, right?
Yeah. So he was first. My daughter came 2 years later.
Okay.
So he was born in Utah, where my school was, and my daughter was born out in Tennessee, where I was playing for the Memphis Grizzlies at the time.
Okay.
She was born in Memphis, but yeah, so they're 2 years apart. But yeah, I was bound and determined that they wouldn't know anything about that unless I took them there to ground them, right? Because
correct,
they grew up in Carmel, Indiana, which is fantasy land. I always tell them this is fantasy, right? Yeah. The majority of the people, this is not the real life. And I'm proud and grateful for the opportunity to be able to raise them in this community, and schools were great to them, and the community was great to them, and it's not a negative thing, but the reality is that's not the reality for the majority of people, right, and I want them to understand that and appreciate the things that I've worked for, that their mothers worked for, that now that they can go and work for, and not just think, oh, just because you woke up today, it's supposed to happen for you. That's not it.
It's not it. I mean, it's kind of like, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but it's kind of what you were saying your dad wanted for you.
Sure.
But unfortunately, he wasn't able to give that to you. So that onus came back to you as an 11-year-old. Now you're the father figure for your little brother. Right. And you take that and, you crush your career getting into, good in school, kicking ass in the game, and being able to financially take care of, your children that you had the first one at 21 years old,
sure,
and married as you lose a contract.
Right.
Or I shouldn't say lose a contract. You didn't get the next one. Right?
Exactly.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely how it works. And
and
then ultimately, it's just a grind from that point on. Yeah. But also being able to, try to set a positive example, as just because you get knocked down, I mean, you got to stay down. right?
Right.
Getting knocked down that's just part of life. Nobody,
Yeah.
it's all relative to some degree, but we're all taking L's in some capacity.
Yeah.
Right. But
Right.
that's okay. I'm going to get up and get some dubs after it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And somebody else got to pay for it.
Right. So you're in the NBA, then go play in Europe, or is it kind of back and forth?
I'm bouncing
back and forth.
Yeah,
you're doing whatever it takes.
I'm doing whatever
it takes.
Yeah, and there was a part of me in certain instances where I would say, "Hey, I'm just gonna just."
Did you play in Moscow, right?
I did.
Yeah.
I played in Moscow for a year. I was there for a whole season, which is a very interesting experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were just opportunities to where I could have said, "Hey, you know what? I'm just gonna fold the tent on this NBA thing, and just go play X amount of years in European basketball or international basketball, wherever that may be, and just set up shop there." But I just kept on toting the line of like
grinding.
Yeah, and people like there was enough interest and feedback from the NBA that hey, you're right there. There's more opportunity, so I would end up just keep on getting opportunities in the NBA as well.
Yeah,
just not sustainable long ones like I would have liked. If that makes sense.
No, it totally makes sense. But at the end of the day, we just threw a number out, which something less than 1% of Division I athletes get that opportunity. But I mean, you made that opportunity because of your hard work and you getting shit done. You forced the hand and said, "No, I'm not quitting. You didn't give me a contract. Well, fuck you. I'm going to keep pushing harder and harder. Someone's going to give me a contract."
Yeah, that's just the name. Yeah. That's just it. I mean, it's not.
And that's what separates people like you and someone that's sitting on their couch going, "Oh, woe is me."
Yeah, exactly. It's all internal. It is all internal, and I recognize that everyone has their own challenges, and whatever the case may be, and we all need some sort of assistance at some point in some capacity. But yet and still, if you just continue to pound it, you're going to create some opportunities that otherwise wouldn't be there. To your point of just sitting there complaining about it.
Right. 100%.
Yeah, and that's just not it.
It's not even an option.
Yeah,
I can see it in your eyes. It's not even. There wasn't even an option for you growing up. You're like, "Nah, I don't quit. Yeah, I've fallen down or whatever. I've got to get up and do this." So your basketball and your children, is this a sport that they've adapted into their lives, or are you?
They did pick that up.
Yeah,
they did pick it up. But oddly enough, so we'll talk about my son first. This being Indiana, the basketball state that it is, and obviously when he was younger, and it was while I was playing with the Pacers, he was younger, and he was, I don't know, 5 all the way up to like 7 or 7. I was playing 2 years with the Pacers, so he was pretty young. But even though when I went and played other places after my 2 years with the Pacers, I came back in the summertime, and obviously I'm still here. I've been in the same house since 2004. People would ask me when he was like 8, 9, 10 years old, "Hey, what travel team is he playing for?" Because that's what Indiana does. They put an 8-year-old and he's traveling all over the place playing basketball year round. And oddly enough, he had no interest in that.
Okay.
He had absolutely no interest in that at all. He barely would go and play in a rec league once a week. His passion is fishing, right? He's a scholarship basketball athlete. He's going to graduate in May. But if you asked him at any given time, you want to go play ball or go fishing, he's going fishing. It's not even a question.
Really?
Yeah.
Amazing.
In his car, he's got a backpack. It's always got his fishing gear in it. And he's has no problem driving down the road. He sees water. He's going to fish it. If you had a pond in your backyard, he's probably fished it.
That's crazy.
So he absolutely loves it. So
and he plays basketball
now. He does
in was it Purdue or
no? He's at Grace College. He's at Grace College up in Warsaw.
Yeah. I knew it was north of here.
Yeah. And he, like I said, he's going to graduate in May. But ultimately, he didn't really develop a real love, any sort of passion for the game till later in life. And I always really had to check myself because I love the game. I absolutely love it. I've always have. I always will. It's in me. But that's just not him.
Right.
And it took me, I literally had to check myself and really understand that, hey, I can't want this for him because it's going to ruin the father-son relationship. I value that way more than anything else. So if he wants to go fishing, we're going fishing, right? I developed a like and love for fishing, right? So I just to spend some time with him and maybe he'll come around to this basketball thing. Maybe he won't.
I think all parents need to hear that.
Yeah, no question.
That's such a good statement. You watch so many parents that try to have their son or daughter play a sport that either they were really good at or they always wanted to be good at it.
Right.
And the kid wants to play something else or not want to do it, and they're like all over the individual, and it's fucked up.
Yeah, and then before you know it, the kid, if you can force them into it, and maybe they end up growing to love it and they do have a passion for it, then it works out. But if they don't, it's going to end bad.
It's going to end bad.
It's going to end bad because they can get to a place where either they're burnt out or the parents been telling them how great they are forever. And then they finally get to whether it's middle school or high school, and next thing you know, they don't make a team or they're not playing, or it'll just end bad in some capacity, right?
Yeah.
And that's just a reality of the situation. I've seen it happen a number of times with both my kids or their teammates and things like that.
Right.
So yeah, let the kid decide.
Let the kid decide.
But and then once he got to
push them in the right direction, but let them make the decision.
Yeah, and for me, once he got to a point where he's like, "Yeah, I want to do this," and I was like, the first question was like, "All right, you want to play varsity high school basketball?" Yeah, I'm partying in the back of my mind. Part of me,
you're like, "All right, son, here's the ball."
Right.
I've been waiting to give you this basketball.
That's right. Yeah. So he had played like little rec league stuff coming up, but that was just that's stress free basketball really.
Right.
But then he decided, hey, I want to, I was like, hey, you want to play high school basketball? This is why he's in middle school sometime. He's like, yeah. I was like, you want to play varsity basketball? He's like, yeah. I was like, well, there's work associated with that, right? I'm like, you also know that there's like thousands of you in Carmel that wants to do that, right? So you're gonna have to do something different, and it's not just show up. So that was kind of the message.
Starts with showing up, but you got to do a little more.
No question. Yeah, absolutely. That's just You got to do a lot more.
You got to do a lot more.
Yeah. So ultimately, they both ended up playing basketball over at Carmel High School. They both were able to earn scholarships to play college basketball, and then my daughter also runs track up there. And then this season, she decided to put basketball down. This is her junior year in college, and she's just running track.
Nice.
Up at Grace College. But
that's awesome.
But yeah, so they're up there. They live together. They're best friends.
I love it.
And
they take care of each other.
They fight every once in a while, but
of course,
but they love on each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
that's
good
great.
Stuff.
So let's go to your career now in the NBA. And I say NBA, I'll just say your professional basketball career.
Sure.
Because I know there's a difference between the NBA and Moscow.
Sure.
But so I always say NBA, but we'll just.
That's fine. Yep.
So your professional career is winding down. And how do you find yourself in front of a microphone on TV winning an Emmy?
They
just called you up and go, Eddie, I think you'd be great for this job because you get shit done all the time. You should be on this show.
That's exactly how it happened.
Get the fuck out of here.
Minus because you get shit done. It's crazy that you say that. That's exactly how it happened. No joke.
You're like, I don't even know how to do this.
Yeah, not a joke. As I mentioned, I have a real job, as I call it, which it is. But at this time, I'm in my real job, which is in the financial world. And my kids at this time are growing up, and I mentioned that they're starting to play a little bit more, and they're a lot more active. Whether it's high school and in middle school. So Jamie Burns, the broadcasting with the broadcasting team for the Pacers, literally called me. Said, hey, I know you do, a fair amount of community stuff with the Pacers, and I didn't realize you were still here in town. Talk to some people, you're still here in town. We've had this job open up. Are you interested in coming and doing some TV with us? Literally, that's how it happened.
You're like, I got a good voice and a nice face. Fuck it, I'll do it.
Literally, that's how it happened, and I was like, wow. I was like, actually, I haven't really considered that. I never really thought about it, but I got two kind of contingencies there. I think A, I have a real job, so it can't interfere with that.
Right.
And then B, I retired from playing at an age in which I thought was early for me. I could probably continue to play even if it was overseas, wherever it was. But my son was at an age where I wanted to be home all the time.
Spend more time with the family.
I was done missing stuff with the kids.
Yep.
I wanted to be with them, and like I said, that was a priority for me. So if the kids have a game the same night the Pacers have a game, I'm going to their game. And
they're like, sure, you're hired.
And he's like, yeah.
So you
This how it works.
Funny, right? So he's getting this another opportunity, as I'll call it, because I think it's amazing.
No
right?
question. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're going to be this TV personality, right?
Yep.
We want you to come, and you're like, yeah, that sounds great. I have no experience in doing this, but I'm glad you think I'm the right candidate. And but there's a couple things. I can never miss one of my kids' games, and if there's a game the same time as the job, that game that you want me to come to, I'm not coming.
That's
They're
right.
like, okay, Eddie, you got the job.
I want to say the number was 30 that my first year. They were like, do you think you can do 30 games? So we looked at the schedule, I believe at the time, and it basically worked out to where it was in that ballpark, in that vicinity somewhere, where again the priority was I wasn't going to miss my kids' games. That just wasn't happening.
That was a hard stop.
It's just non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable.
So it did work out to where I was able to meet the whatever the game number that they were trying to get me to do, and still not missing any of the games. And so we went down, and I did a 15-minute rehearsal with the guy I do the show with now, Jeremiah Johnson, the host, and we Jeremiah.
Okay.
So we did a 15-minute mock highlight thing, and they're like, "All right, you're good. We got an hour-long pregame show in a couple weeks or whatever. So here we go." So I'm just building this plane while we're flying it.
Yeah. Building this plane while we're flying it. That's good.
I had no idea what I was doing. No idea.
I really like that saying. Building this plane while we're flying.
And I'm just like, all right. And you talk about uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, and that, it was
That's a different kind of pain, right?
It was so uncomfortable because, I got a couple different monitors that I'm looking at. I have a producer in my earpiece talking to me. I have Jeremiah asking me questions. And then
you think you got it bad, bro.
I know, right?
Right?
Yeah.
He's asking me questions. I'm trying to complete a thought, talking to the viewer. Yeah. Meanwhile, the producer is talking to me now. That was the biggest adjustment for me, where I just had, listening to them talk to me while I'm trying to complete a thought to the screen. Ultimately, I don't know how many viewers that are viewing it in that given time.
Yeah.
And I botched it a number of times. I destroyed the whole situation. I don't know how many times, but they were patient with me, and I'm forever grateful for the opportunity to Jamie and the Pacers organization, and it's worked out well, and that kind of manifests to some opportunity on the radio, and now I'm doing a little bit of both.
Okay, so
and by the way, you are a really good broadcaster.
I don't know.
Since we've met, I've watched you.
Oh yeah,
and you're a really good broadcaster. I think you're natural at it. So I think
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And Justin, it's so true. We were talking to someone the other day. I was telling them that you're going to be on the show, and they were like, "Oh, that guy is fucking awesome on." I say the radio, the TV, your show,
sure,
pregame show, pregame show. Yeah, thank you. It's just crazy to me. And then so again, getting shit done. You learn this, for lack of a better word, a new skill.
Yes, absolutely.
A whole new talent, because there's people that are in this industry for years, their whole life, and they would love to have that trophy that you sent me the picture of.
That's right. Yeah.
Right?
There's no question.
Or that award. Trophy, award?
Yeah, it's all the same.
Same.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And an Emmy.
Are you talking about an Emmy?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's right.
Just an Emmy.
Yeah.
Just an Emmy.
It's wild.
So I'd like an Emmy.
Yeah.
It's wild.
He's been trying for fucking years.
It's wild. It is wild.
So how did that come about? I mean, obviously, because you're good at what you do.
Yeah.
Clearly, they don't just give them out.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got a nice smile. Let's give him an Emmy.
Right.
I'd have a bunch of them.
Exactly. Hey, we have a great team, to be quite honest with you. Our producers are great. Ken Sothman is the producer of our pregame show and postgame show. He's done a hell of a job. Yeah. Go ahead and top that. Appreciate you.
It's all about those producers, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. And I think I mentioned to you, Justin, I think I mentioned this to you when we first met. I have the utmost respect for people that are quote unquote behind the camera and the things that they do to make it all go, because it's amazing to see. And it was a really good experience for me to go and watch them in the truck, talk to him kind of offline and see how he puts it all together. And they do a great job of making me look like I know what I'm doing.
Right.
Quite honestly, because it's hard work. There's no joke about it.
Well, the feeling from a producer's point of view is the feeling's mutual. Because if it wasn't for people like you, I couldn't do what I do. So I've been asked to do a lot of shows like this. I only do it for Darin because he's good at what he's doing and he listens and he's got
Sure.
a talent for it, just like you do.
Sure, no, I
so
appreciate it.
it's a two-way street.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a two-way street.
So much love.
Because I can't do I can't do any of that. I know for a fact any of that behind the scenes. I'll share a story with you off the air. You'll laugh.
Okay, yeah.
Because I don't want to. It's not about me. It's about you. But you'll laugh.
It's all good. Yeah. It's all good. I love the love.
Okay, so you guys get this Emmy, or you get the Emmy.
Yeah, our
So
team. Each of our team members end up getting
get a phone call
in our
like,
respective.
Yeah.
And I was actually, I think I was down on vacation with my family down when this happened. This was probably, I think we won 3 or 4 years ago, maybe something like that. Anyway, we had talked about it. Ken and I had talked about it prior to, and he's like, "Hey, if we win, just know that I'm going to be on some beach somewhere drunk, and I'm going to FaceTime you if we win."
So like me yesterday.
And sure enough, I'm walking around Walmart in Destin, Florida. With my son. We're looking for fishing gear.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to go fishing somewhere.
And the FaceTime comes up.
FaceTime's come. We're walking around Walmart. He's like, "We won."
It's amazing.
Yeah. He's like, "We won." He's like, "Oh no, that's how he started it." He said, "Where you hanging your Emmy?" I was like, "No."
Oh, shit.
I was like, "No, we didn't." He was like, "Where are you putting it?" So it was pretty cool.
No, that's awesome.
It was pretty cool. Now we're trying to get another one. So we'll keep on pounding.
You'll get it.
We'll keep on pounding. Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't give up.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
No question.
Yeah, you don't give up.
Yeah,
Okay, so in the financial world, you work for a good company. You said they built a good team. So how do you like that?
I love it. Yeah, I love it. It's again going back to the kind of how I grew up. This wasn't a space that I knew about, was aware of, knew that the access, the resources, the education in this space, it just wasn't a thing. And now that I'm in the space, I'm really trying to be proactive about creating a space where people in those communities that are to some degree boxed out of this conversation get an opportunity to understand the financial literacy world, the financial responsibility world, and those types of things, because that's I think we all should know. I think it should be a mandate in high school. That's part of the prerequisite. We should probably have some sort of financial literacy course to graduate from high school.
100%.
But that's I won't jump down that tangent. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We need some more advocates. But So now I'm in this space now and doing a lot of great work, and just love being able to share with both people who have really done extremely well for themselves and they've really just knocked it out of the park. Even those individuals, myself and our team, we've been able to have a number of conversations with those individuals and being able to shed some light on different opportunities where they can even bolster what they're doing in a more efficient way. So I really enjoy having those conversations.
Yeah.
It's been good. Like I said, 9 years in the industry now, it's evolving.
Right.
And people, sometimes you don't know it's evolving. We just, if you're not in the industry, you just put your head down, you're still working, you contribute to a 401k if that's your space, and you just move on. But there's a lot of things that you could be doing to.
And when you don't know that world, it scares you.
Sure.
So you just stay out of it, right?
Sure.
But how many do you have? A lot of athletes that are in your portfolio? Because I feel like you hear these stories, and when I say I feel like you hear these stories, we hear them. A NBA player or an NFL player, professional athlete made all this money, and then 5 years later they're broke because they didn't have potentially the right people surrounding them.
Sure.
And then secondly, they didn't have the knowledge to make sure that this money is eventually going to stop coming in. So you have to make money with your money.
Yep.
Don't go out and buy 10 Lamborghinis because you just got a new sign-on bonus.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. So we do work with a number of professional athletes. But that's not the only space that we work in. Work with a number of different business owners.
Oh, yeah.
Just a wide variety of industries of folks that we work with. And I will say, so that does happen for sure in that space in terms of professional athletes. But now that I've been in it for 9 years,
it happens with everyone, right?
It's not just professional athletes. There's a lot of us. We're making money and spending money at the same rate.
Yeah.
And it's just a human nature. Unfortunately, I'll speak as a former professional athlete, and in defense of professional athletes, we're kind of in the limelight in the media.
So we know you got all this money, and now we know you don't.
Correct.
But you don't know the guy that was the CEO of this company who just blew all his money, who's now paying paycheck to paycheck.
Amen. Yes, exactly.
100%.
Yeah. So there's some of that as well. So like I said, the media is not going to that guy and or whoever it may be and having that conversation. And and to that point, there's no shame in that. There's just an opportunity to improve and make some progress and do something better. And that's what we try to do.
What would you tell someone who's listening to the show would want to figure out how to financially better themselves by diversifying as opposed to just putting their money into a regular checking account? What would you, if they called you up, or what would you say to them to say, okay, first you should learn this, or first you should talk to this person? What would you suggest?
Yeah, without giving quote unquote advice from a compliance standpoint,
correct.
Just generally speaking, because what we do at a really high level is create a financial plan, right? Where you've been, where you're at, where you're trying to get to, and create a roadmap to get to that end goal, right?
Goes back to goals.
Yeah, exactly. And in order to do that, you have to have conversations to discover, hey, what exactly are we trying to accomplish? And oftentimes, again, we're just waking up every day, we're working, and next thing you know, we wake up one day, we're 65, and you're like, well, damn, I got to keep working.
Yeah.
Because.
So it sounds like the answer is talk to a professional.
Amen. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's definitely part of it. And then the sooner the better. And I always say, for me personally, I'm like, hey, we're gonna meet you where you are. If you're 22 years old, fresh out of college, and trying to start something, or 55-year-old business owner who's been doing it for 30 plus years and have an unbelievable a wealth of success and just haven't created a plan yet. So it's all relative to some degree, but definitely just being able to you made the point of, if we don't know, we're fearful, right? That's right. And I think that crosses all sorts of things.
Yeah.
If we're just ignorant to whatever the topic may be, all of a sudden we're fearful of it. And we just stay away.
Yeah.
Or pass judgment in some cases, and you don't even know what's going on in that particular field.
Right.
Whatever it may be. So, and I'd say just, letting that guard down and being okay with being transparent and being okay with not knowing.
Yeah. Being okay with not knowing.
Yeah.
So did you grow up with a mentor, or did you have a mentor somewhere in your career that made you, I don't want to say mentally change your thought process on the financial world or your basketball career? Is there someone that you had that pushed you in this direction? I know you said obviously your mom and your grandparents were an important role, but
I would say in terms of getting in this particular direction, they didn't have anything to do with that, because again, I'm still trying to educate my mother on this space right now.
Yeah, fair enough. And that's your responsibility as her son.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. But honestly, being in this space and being a professional athlete, having I'm not absent, or what's the word? I'm trying to think of the word here that I'm trying to communicate here. I'm not the one that didn't make some of these mistakes, right? So I made my own mistakes. I had my own successes and failures, and then I watched my teammates have their own successes and failures, and had it in my back of my mind, well, how can we improve this situation here?
Right.
How can we make it better? So I've had it in that just from my own personal experience.
But you learned from it.
Exactly. Right. And they weren't big enough mistakes to where I was like putting my family in jeopardy or houses, or I wasn't putting us in jeopardy in that capacity. But I was like, man, I could have done better.
Right.
Now how can I pass that message along to others? And like, hey, you can treat yourself because you busted your ass to get to this point, so you should treat yourself, but also you can take care of your future as well.
Right.
So there's a way to do both, and that was something that I've been passionate about, not only for just professional athletes, just people in general.
And people in general. That's a great message.
Yeah.
So what's next for you?
More of the same for now. More of the same for now. Yeah.
I mean, the same is pretty good.
Yeah. More of the same for now. Continue to grow in each and every field that I'm in right now, to get better, to improve. I firmly believe we don't stay the same. We're either getting better or we're getting worse.
Right.
One of the two is happening. So I want to always be on the getting better side.
Yeah.
And continue to do that, and then just recognizing, different people have different things going on. And I read something somewhere a long time ago. Everyone you encounter is going through something you know nothing about. Regardless of the day, the moment, the time, location, whatever it is, everyone in that room is going through something that you know nothing about. And I always try to keep that in my mind. And, especially when you encounter new people.
Right.
And sometimes I do better than others in that mindset, but just trying to improve that.
I mean, you've been GSDing since you were a kid, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fact.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't need to recap this whole conversation, but as a little kid, 10 years old, 11 years old, becoming a father figure for your little brother, and having a goal to make sure you can succeed in your life and your career and your ambitions, and just never stopping. And you could stop now and do whatever you want, but you're still pushing and moving forward.
Yeah, there's no question. I think it's just super important. And again, I want to continue to try to, set example for my son, my daughter, and those that are coming up behind. That's one of the biggest things, just being able to continue to pass these messages on to other people, other adults, but definitely the youth in our world, because, if not, we're going the wrong direction.
We're going the wrong direction
in a hurry.
You made a comment to me a little while ago when we were hanging out, and you said, when someone says something to you, because it happens to me, like, oh, it must be nice, or they see that I'm I'm in Jamaica, or I'm in Hawaii, or you're in your nice car, and you're like, oh, it must be nice. You're like, shit, man, it is nice. And you know what? I worked my ass for this. Yeah. So you don't know what I did to get here.
Yeah. No one gave me anything.
No one gave me anything. I worked my ass for it. And you're a true definition of an everyday GSD person. I have a little gift for you. Do you have one last message you want to give to the listeners?
Man, just gratitude. Thank you for tuning in. To be quite honest with you, I just appreciate everyone who's listening in, and if it moves them to reach out for any reason, happy to connect. But other than that, thank you for having me on, Justin. Thank you for the work that you do. And getting it done here. We got to mention Big Sam in here with us.
Big Sam still in town.
yeah, enjoying his fantastic wine here. I'm just appreciative and grateful for the opportunity.
Well, thank you. I've got a little hat for you and a T-shirt. That's what I give my guests that get shit done. Here's a hat for you.
I love it.
And then a T-shirt. Everyday GSD. And I'm gonna lean in and give you a little handshake.
That's big time. Yes, sir.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being on the show. And I know our listeners are going to really appreciate you sharing your story with them. And it's truly an inspiration for anyone who wants to follow in your footsteps. Thank you, man. I appreciate everything you do.
No, it's a pleasure. I appreciate you.
Thanks for watching the Everyday GSD podcast. Episodes come out on the 1st and 15th of the month. If you want to watch people or listen to people that Everyday GSD, please download and subscribe wherever you listen or watch the Everyday GSD podcast. Everyday GSD.